Alright guys, this is actually the extremely fine gold powder that I can extract from dirt. It takes a bit to get it like this. It takes about 5 or 6 washes, but once it's all the iron, the mud and clay and everything's removed, this is what you're left with, and it's literally all gold powder. So you can literally see every single grain that is mainly gold. So every angle you will see it. In the sunlight you'll see it even more, and the whole powder will go yellow. You can literally see how much gold you've got sitting there. And it's all extremely fine gold. And I can get kilos and kilos of this shit every month. And no one's taking it seriously. Oh, you fucking retards think I'm mentally retarded or something. No, you assholes are. You judged me for way too long. Now I'll surpass every single one of you. You didn't have any belief in me, you didn't help me with anything. You believed everyone else's lies, you didn't give a shit about me. So this is what you'll miss out on. I'm not playing games anymore. I'm not playing the mind games. I've always done what I do. I don't have to explain myself. If you actually spent time with me and watched what I was doing, you wouldn't think I was mad. Except most of my family didn't give a shit. And look at all that gold powder. Isn't that amazing? And it's so fine. Most people can't see this stuff. I can. Hey Vicky. How are you today? It'll be night time over there, wouldn't it? I think. Over in America. But look at that. That's the washed gold powder. And you can literally see how much gold is in it. Every angle sparkles. See? And that's really fine gold powder. You kind of see the size. There's my finger. You can see how small the particles are. It's mad. It's really freaky stuff. It's all really fine gold powder. Hey, I've been showing you guys how to get this shit out. Anyone paying attention? You'd be multi-billionaires if you were watching. Not joking. If you guys start paying attention, I'm showing you how you can take your world back. Look at all that gold there. I've got kilos of this shit. I've got no smelter. I need a smelter. And then I can start making some good money. So all I'm doing is sitting on it at the moment. Till I get my smelter going. And we go. took out of the top of this pot here. This pot here is chockers. Oh, it's heavy. It's fucking real heavy, that one. Look at this massive pot, weighs pretty well about 3 kilos of gold powder in that one. And you literally see this one too. It is all gold powder. How's that? It's sitting on heaps. Just need help to smelt it. Or if anyone knows any smelters, well, I'm happy to go halves. Harbies. Anyone work out how to fucking smelter this shit? I'll give you half. I'm a very generous person. And look at all that gold powder. Look at it all. And that pot is fucking huge. You see it all? The whole lot. All the way down. It's all gold powder. How big's that pot there? Where is it? So it is, how big is it? So it's 950 grams, that one. That's how big that pot is. It's pretty well chockers full. It's pretty cool. Alrighty. I got this running, put it on last night, so it's been running all night. This is just a bit of the gold water that's that in here. Turn this off, you can actually see that real fine gold powder sitting on the bottom and what it does. It's after been sitting overnight. It sort of drips up at the bottom. Pretty cool. I just noticed this too earlier. This is really freaky. It looks like algae starting to bloom in the water, and it's got some really cool patterns in it. I thought that was pretty cool. We're just starting spring here, so the warm is starting to make things grow in the water. You notice this morning. Looks really cool. Kind of looks like a plant sort of thing growing in there. It's just the outline of it. It's kind of... This is green algae when it first starts. You literally see it kind of looks like the cellular matter. Cells or something. Cellular shape. I'll have a look at that later and see how much it's grown. This has got gold shit in it. It's got heaps of gold in it, in the bottom of this. This is just gold water. That's kind of weird. Yeah, it's warm. Give it a wobble. I just messed it up. I'll go back. Yeah, a bit of gold. This is gold water too, starting to go a little bit green as well. Really sticky weather last few days. Starting to warm up. And this here, I just don't understand. You can see all the fine golds, that slippery shit. You can see all the sandy shit in the bottom part there. This has got chunks in it as well. That's the unwashed gold mud. And that's the stuff I put in the sluice, and it washes all the gold out. You can see all them little white chips with gold powder. There's heaps brought. This dirt has some pretty big chunks in it too. Bloody hell, that water's cold. See, even in these, you can see the chips. All them little white chips is gold. So we've got no sun at the moment, so you can't really see them. That's kind of what the gold does on the bottom when you sit the water. That's probably fine gold, that one. And you see, as it's fine, it behaves differently in the water. It doesn't act like the thick shit. Kind of looks like oil, but it's not. It's got a bit of iron still in it, so it's probably oxidising. It's typical of gold, it likes to stick to things. See a bit on the bottom, how fine the particles are. All them little black chips, that's magnesite. I'll collect them up too. It's actually worth a bit of coin. So this is ridiculous, this one. This is absolutely ridiculous. Hold up, better dry my hand. Up the screen and the camera. Right, now, why isn't it fake? There we go. All them little white chips is gold. The grey ones, not the goldy ones. It's kind of like grey dull ones. That's silver. So we got a bit of silver in this stuff as well. Literally see how much gold comes out of the dirt. Yeah, it is ridiculous. You can see them little crystals with the black filament through it? That's magnetic crystals. They're worth money too, them ones. The little black spots on them. That's called, it's magnesite in crystals. That shit. So you ever seen that? And they're tiny. They use these ones for electronics. You see it? It's a little crystal with little black filament through it. It's called a magnetic crystal. They're worth quite a bit of money too if you can collect them ones. So in this lot, it's got quite a bit. This one here, let's see if we can get it. This one here, you can actually see, if it will focus, it's got little things of gold through it as well. So these little crystals have magnesite and gold. You can literally see them, they're so tiny, these things. You can see the chunk of gold on the side there. This crystal here will stick to a magnet. It's got the little black chips, magnesite through it. They use these crystals in electronics. And they're about $600 a gram, bit more. You can actually see the little gold chips through it. This is raw gold, this stuff. So that's 100% raw gold, the stuff that's formed, and then it washes out of the rock. Sometimes you can see that one looks like a little half crystal, the top one. So they're usually little six-sided crystals, the gold, when it forms. And they're really, really fine and tiny. And that's how gold forms properly. It's usually through impacts, celestial events, and they'll form in the actual rock itself. When the rock gets compressed, that's when the gold forms. You get little tiny chips all through the rock. You can see it, a lot of magnesite, usually with the gold. And there's a nice big chunk of gold there. See, you still get chunks in here, but 99% of the gold is all this fine stuff. You can see it all. Little tiny white dots everywhere, that's all the fine gold. So everyone's going for these big chunks when they're missing 99% of it. So all gold loading areas, every area with these bigger chunks has thousands more of these little ones. But most people, they just don't worry about it. They just fast loose. And most of that stuff gets washed back into the river, so they don't get it. And this here is the actual legitimate, how gold really forms. You can see how much is in it. The gold-bearing rocks is usually pink granite or decomposed granite that has been compressed. I'll get right over here. You can actually see it. This is a lot of the shit I find. And you can actually see this is a gold-bearing rock. That's what it looks like. You can see the little crystals all through it. And that's raw gold. And then it washes out. So you find these rocks and you just follow the water down from where it is. You find clay, old mounds, and you'll find the fine stuff. The fine stuff always runs out of this rock. Every time it rains, you'll get more. And you look at the decomposed granite underneath the cliffs where this stuff is, and you'll find shitloads of the gold-bearing dirt. And this stuff is, this is kind of like opalized granite, so it's been decomposed, then opalized again, so it's been compressed again, so it's really crumbly. So you get stuff like this too. This is another one that's opalized. And that's the raw state of gold. So this stuff here is always up in the mountain, this stuff. So you'll find it. I'm about 2,000 foot up, so above sea level. And that's where all this stuff is. And I just go out, I grab a couple buckets, bring them home, and then I set up my sluice and just slow wash it over a few days. You know, sometimes you've got to wash it a couple times. Let's put the light back. So yeah, And this is the kind of setup I've got. So this is just a simple one, I'm just washing it at the moment. So I put this tub here, is pretty deep, so you can see how deep it is. That's my catcher, so it catches all the coarse. So all the coarse stuff falls into the bottom, but all the fine is still washed around. I've got a few trays in here with magnets on them, and that will help catch the magnesite, the water. I've got a bigger tray down the bottom with two bigger magnets as well. So there's actually two trays in there with magnets. Alright. And this is my pump here. So I've got my pump here. Not this pipe, this is the, I'll turn that off now. That's my flow pipe. Let me get off there, you bastard. Stop falling in there. So, we got, that's the pump. So I just buy, you know, it's just a pond pump. See the gold sitting on top of it. So it goes up in here, and we've got this one here, which actually helps circulate the water around. With that current, you're going to have it circulating, or help throw the fine gold up. And then I've got a pipe here that will actually catch it, and then it flows it down here. You've got a mesh here, that's the overflow, so it's a little bit higher than this one. So that's like, because I've got it on the fast flow at the moment, it stays pretty high. When I use the actual thing with the sluice, so this is my sluice one, so I can hook that up to my sluice, which is, I've got it sitting over here, a little sluice, see all the gold powder sitting in it. You need a little fine one, and that catches some of the fine as well. So I don't use that all the time, because I'm only just washing it at the moment. So I'm just washing what I've already extracted, and washing it a few times in here. This here's sitting on bricks, this one here. And I've got a few filter meshes in it as well. It just flows down. I've got a little split in it on the side there, so it flows out of the side and helps circulate the water around. You've got in the actual pump itself, I've got a bowl that helps catch gold too. That's an old pressure cooker, not pressure cooker, slow cooker pot. And you see all the gold sitting in it. How you do it? A couple bricks in here that help catch it. As it flows, it's got, the gold's got something to push against, and it stops it from moving. And then all I do is let it run for about a day or two. Let it run and keep circulating and circulating. The fine gold sits on the bottom. And you drain it all out. I fill up all the bottles, drain all the water out. And give it a quick swish backwards and forwards, drain the rest out in. I'll usually drain the last bit back out into the pot so I'm not wasting it. I'll put it back into there, and then I can re-wash it again. Because most of the stuff that washes off, the bottom here is usually just the magnesite and some other heavy metals like iron and shit like that. And that washes off, and then all you're left in the bottom of this edge is all the fine gold powder. You can actually see the last few times I've done it, you'll see it starting to build up in the edges. I usually don't clean it completely, but I'll leave some of that shit in there, it helps the gold stick to it. You leave a bit in there, and the other gold will stick to that gold. And yeah, and in the bottom of here, you can see how much we got. I'll just do a finger test. There's a bit there. It's not as thick as I thought. There's a lot of chunkier stuff in this lot. And it's just off the bottom. You can see it's still got a little bit of black particle through it. But it's not as bad as the stuff when you dig it out of that one. So it's starting to, the black is starting to wash off now. I might leave this on for a day. Might drain it tonight and just see how it is then. I may need to wash the powder again, depending on how much black sand's still in it. And you just keep doing that. Just keep chucking it in, pulling it out, giving it a wash, separate it, see how much black sand's still in the gold powder, and you put it back in. And you rewash it again. Eventually you'll end up with just the gold powder with hardly any sand and shit in it. And that's mostly all gold powder. You can see there's hardly anything in the actual. There's a couple of little black dots here and there, but not much at all. That's about how I want it, like that. You can still see there's one or two black particles, but it's pretty well 99% gold powder, that. And that's a bit of excess powder I had sitting on the table. I chucked in here and then flowed some water in it yesterday and just let it sit. And these, I usually use metal trays. For some reason the rusty metal works better. Yeah, it's a bit rusty. For some reason the gold likes to stick to it. I think it acts like the bedrock, and then the gold can consolidate on top of it. So these are the fine powder, but you can see how it's like, it's sort of, I don't know, it's kind of like they're going chunkier. It's still fine, but getting a bit more pressure and they'll actually solidify up a bit better. So maybe a bigger tub, more pressure, water hitting it, because the tray was only, it's not very deep. You can see where the water line was. So maybe if I put more water and pressurise the fine gold powder more, it'll consolidate into more solid. But it's still a bit goopy, you can see it. Still a little bit goopy, but you can see how it's starting to consolidate. And that's kind of how it does form into nuggets, it's the same sort of way. As the fine gold washes down the creek, you get bits of this stuff sticking together, and then the pressure of the water and other rocks and shit pressing against it, and it eventually forms into nugget. And that's the actual true cycle of gold. They don't teach anyone this stuff, or either that they just don't know, they're useless. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, it's pretty bad. You can see some of the bigger chunks that don't go through. And there. And yeah. Plenty of meat in the bottom there. Do get some of the chunky stone in here. There's one there. And most of the chunky stuff I chuck straight in there because I'll get a bigger sluice eventually. So everything I recycle, everything. All my coarse stuff is in this one. So this still got a bit of fine in it too. Actually, it's pretty. That's right. It's pretty heavy, this soil. And you can see how much is in it. So a lot of the bigger chunks I chuck in here. See some of the chunks in there. This one here will be loaded, because I've been, this is my waste bucket, so everything that gets in the filter goes in here, which I can probably re-wash again a few times and get more out, but it is gone hard in there, fucking hell. Holy shit, that's hard. I bent my shovel. See how hard the dirt goes. This shows you how much gold and heavy metal is in it. Because this has got a lot of I'm putting a lot of the chunky magnesite in here too, so everything that's filled with all the black particles, big chunky black particles are in here too. So, you can see how much black is in this one. And that's all the magnesite as well. Bring it particular so they hold bloody solid. It is, get out, you bastard. You literally see, and that's usually how you can tell what it's got lots of gold and shit in it. Because it starts to go hard. And this has been sitting for months, this one. It just looks like mud till the sun comes out. You can feel the goopy lumps in it. This is probably about 30% gold in this one. So it's got a lot of other shit in it, a lot of vegetable waste, all the stuff that gets filtered off. But it has got pretty large chunks all through it in this one, I think. Is that one? This looks like a magnesite piece, that one. Magnesite crystal. What's that one? Gold. No, it looks like an eggshell. Looks like calcite. They're probably all sunk down the bottom, which means it'll be freaking hard to dig it out. There's no fine in this. I wash most of the fine out of it. It's mainly the grey mud that washes off the gold as well. So all the when I wash the grey out of the gold goes in here too. So this is like magnesite dirt. It's got like really high magnetism. Oh, there's a lump. There's a gold lump. Bit of clay in there, I just cracked open. And that's the kind of colour dirt, the colour clay stuff. There, you see that colour? It's like sandy clay, and that's usually in old riverbeds. That's where most of the soil comes from. So it's usually get really fucking clay, lumpy shit. I've got this stuff over here. This is pretty well the raw dirt. Look, the sun's coming out now, which is good. These will get more colour. And that's the dirt I look for. You can literally see the gold chips in it. Now the sun's come out, you can actually see it. You'll see certain angles it goes bright yellow. You see it, see all the little, and that's the dirt you look for. It's usually under pink granite. You can see how reddish, pinkish it is. It's because the The cliffs that this stuff was under is all pink granite. You can literally see how much is in here. This is, oh God, heaps of bags. Shitloads of dirt to go. And these buckets, I'm going to clean these ones out. You can see how much is in them. There's some big chunks in that one. And even more in this one. Get this on the side. Yeah, and that's how high load this soil is. You can literally see all the chunks of gold through it. I've washed this bucket a couple of times, but there's still heaps in it. You can literally see, these are like the clay lumps that you get. It's like real soft and mushy. Inside these is where the gold is, most of it. You can see the fine gold trapped in it. And this is like river sand clay. You can literally see most of the river sand clay, like this, is all fine gold. You can see the colour of it. Means it's all fine gold. Come back, son, so I can see. That's pretty well 90% all fine gold, that. Okay. Got a heap of sandy shit in it though. You can literally see what colour it looks like when you break the clay up. And that's pretty well what the fine gold looks like when it's in clay form. Not really any big chunks in that lot, only all fine. Heaps in there though. There's another chunk of clay. So a lot of the fine gold turns like that. It's got heaps of other shit in it. You can see kind of what it looks like. And that's the gold clay. Feels weird. Roll it up. See how it's like kind of looks like. There's a nice chip in that one. You can see how high load it is. This stuff's ridiculous. People going for just the big chunks, man. If you dig this stuff out, here's another massive lump one. Right, go on there. It's a big lump of clay. And that's what the gold forms into when it's fine. As it flows down the creek and it's solid. It's got a bit of plant matter in this one. Density, you can feel the density of it. It's heavy. And it's like It's like really strange clay. It's kind of shiny. And that's where you get the fine gold from, guys. Okay. This stuff here. You can literally see how many chunks are in this one. With them little white specks. Well, most of them anyway. It's gold. Still glowing in the shade. This is gold. You give it a rub and they sink. This is gold. There's some coming out again. You see how it glows in the light? Means it's got fine gold in it. And the more yellow it goes in the light, the more gold it's got. You see quite a bit of chip through this one. There's a nice chunk there. So this sort of stuff is definitely what you have to look for. It's a nice chunky clay. You can actually see all the gold chips all through it. And I always soak them in water, so it's always sitting in water. That way it helps soften the clay up. It's easy to crash up and break apart. There's another big lump down the bottom there. Oh, there's a big one. Oh, that's a big gold lump, that one. A big clay lump. That's the gold clay. See it glows in the sun? This looks like mud, but it's glowy mud. It's still got lots of impurities in it. You literally see how much gold's in this stuff. It's ridiculous. Alrighty. And you can find locations on satellite images. You just look for the same kind of colour, this kind of colour. Look at it. Look at this colour on the satellite image. It's usually got red bands next to it. You go to any location with this colour on the satellite image, with red bands next to it, you find gold and iron. That's how they separate. So anywhere, any place around the world that has this colour on the satellite image next to water flow is gold powder. You just need to look around, look at the low areas, look at the high bank areas where the flood marks and shit are, look in the mounds, and you'll find that colour clay. This is also the other colour clay too, so we've got another bucket here. Put that down. This is the other colour. This is more pale clay, so it's not as orange. And that's the other type that carries gold. It's a little bit whiter, paler. And this one's got really, really fine gold in it, this one. There's a bit of magnesite in it one too. You can see all the black grains. But that's really fine stuff, that stuff. This is the black sand gold, this one. It's always got black sand in it. There's the white clay. It comes almost the same location. This is just a bit further down. So where the granite is, you get the reddish clay. You can see the different colour. So this is like really close to the rock, and this is a bit further down. So as it runs down, it washes out more. You get little low spots, and you dig this stuff out a bit further down. So it sort of the clay loses its colour a bit. The further down the creek you go, they both contain gold. Both those clays. So this is pretty well right where the rock was. So underneath the rocks, they break apart. You can see all the larger flakes, and it will contain a lot more crystal than the white clay. So let's see if I can find a bigger white clay chunk in here. I think I washed most of the white clay out of this one. It's probably only got little bits in it left. You can literally see all the fine gold in that one too. There are only real tiny chips in this one. Very few big chunks. You can see the size of the chips compared to my fingers, how small they are. There's loaded this, and that's pretty heavy. The weight of that's fucking heavy. You know, you always feel, as you give it a wobble, you get a sense of how heavy it is. If it's got good density and good weight, usually there's a high probability it's got heavy minerals in it. The most heavy minerals, you know, lead and all that sort of stuff, they use all that stuff. So anything that sinks at the bottom, save everything. I usually separate everything. I've got different buckets and stuff. I've got me this one here, apart from I forgot this one was my black bucket, and I accidentally dumped the fucking tub of fucking washed sand on there. But underneath you'll see this is mainly all the black. So I'll save all the black particles, and that's that there. You can see how black it is. Got a lot of dark colour to it. So that's most of the darker heavy metals. It's got a bit of plant matter and shit in it as well, but most of it's all the black metal and the magnesite. Minus that shit, I've got to fucking scrape that shit back off. I wasn't thinking, oh, there's a bucket, chuck it in there. Oh, fuck, that was me fucking black bucket. So I'm going to scrape the top off. See all that fucking sand. And that's pretty well. You can use this mud to make bedrock. I use this for landscaping and shit. So if you want a decent base and make your own bedrock, this is the shit to use. This stuff here is what forms bedrock. And when it crushes, it goes really dense. So you can literally squash it into a bowl and it goes hard. And that's bedrock. That shit. That there will form into bedrock if it gets pressurised, and, you know. If you put pressure on that, it will turn that really dark granite. That's how granite forms. Is this shit. That's a black granite. Depending on what stones and what shit's in it, it will determine the colour of the granite. And that's mainly all iron, magnesite, probably a bit of lead in there too. You can see how it's like balls up, packs together really good, this shit. And then yeah, that's what turns into the darker stone. Still a little bit of gold chip through it, but I'm not worried about that. I'm going to try and make some really pretty stones out of these. Need a big pressurising container or something. See if I can make some pebbles out of this shit. That's pretty well how most stones and shit form. You know, they get consolidated into a bowl and then they get pressurised. Heated and pressurised, or it doesn't even have to be lots of heat. It can be like shitloads of pressure which transforms into heat. So it doesn't actually have to be like lava flow or anything. It could just be massive tectonic movements that creates heat from the friction of the movement. And the amount of force and pressure, the heat's ridiculous. So when you know the geological processes happen, you get like amazing forces. Most humans wouldn't even fathom the forces. The forces are ridiculous. So I wouldn't want to be squashed in between one, that's for sure. At least you wouldn't see it coming anyway. It'd be instant. You'd literally crystallise instantly. You go splat crystallise. That's pretty well how it works. In most geological circumstances. And that's how fossils and that crystallise and that. Wobble wobble. So yeah, and that's the basic rundown anyway. So red clay and white clay, Vicky. So you look for the white clay as well. The white clay is usually further downstream. The red clay is usually underneath the rock. So I think as it washes out, the red maybe washes out of the more it stays in the water, the further down it goes, the red actually washes out and it goes pale. So I'm pretty sure it's the same clay, it's just further down, it's being washed a bit more. So there's less iron in it. Red means iron, red and orange. You know, iron rust goes orange. You look at the door, that sort of colour. If it's that colour, it means it's got iron in the soil. This sort of shit. You can see the different shades of iron as it rusts, as it oxidises. So this sort of colour, the orange and red, is iron-loaded soil. So any soil with this colour in it has got iron in it. You know, any soil with the really bright yellow goes bright in the sun, it's got gold in it. That's how I always, it's just the colour. You look for the colour and you find gold, find iron. Most people don't know that. They look for this crystal and that stone and that stone. And all you got to do is look for the colour. It's the right colour, changes the right colour in the sun, and you know you're on the money. Don't worry about what other stones are around, and look at the colour. And that's the main thing that you find. So, well, here's a demonstration anyway. I flushed all the water out yesterday, and you kind of see. You got yellow, then red, then dark. And that's kind of how gold flows. You always have the yellow gold, then you have the iron band, and then you have your other darker minerals around the outside. And that's how it sits. And you can see the gold's lowest, then you got the iron, and then you got the darker band. And that's what I look for. This indicates there's gold here because I've been putting gold in here. This is probably fucking loaded of gold. It's got heaps of gold, fine gold at the bottom. Fuck, it stinks too. No, you've been peeing in here, it stinks. Stop peeing in my garden. No. She usually pees over that side. I think she's been sneaking into me. Yep. She's been sneaking in, I couldn't see it. She's hiding there. So I put some gold flake on the top here the other day. Now this pond is literally the most expensive pond in the world. This pond has every type of boulder opal I could find, and they're all, most of them are raw. I haven't touched any of them, so I just all chucked them in. So I built this pond with boulder opal. So most of these are calcified, so you can't really see what's in them and shit. But hopefully, as I use it more and water washes, and, you know, I'll actually start to see the markings. Like this one here, because there's a walk on it, you can actually start to see the boulder opal coming out. There's nice red in that one. That's a massive chunk, that one. I use that as a footstep, that one, when I climb over. This one here is probably the most expensive one. That one. It's got a lot of red opal through it. It's gold and red mud on the edge, so it's probably got some really nice stuff in that one. But I'm going to leave it here. I'll chuck gold powder on the top, so the actual gold runs down, and you end up with like rutile gold throughout the opals. So 10 or so years ago, when I want to redo this pond, I can remove all these stones and they'll be worth probably about 10 times more than what they started, because all the gold has been running through them and setting inside. So when they actually are polished, you actually get a lot of gold fleck through the actual stones themselves, and it looks amazing. It's a good way. Nature does the exact same thing. It'll wash the fines through the rock. The fines find the little cracks and fissures. They sit in the cracks and fissures, and they'll recrystallise on the actual stone itself. So when you dig the stone out, the crack's been filled with other minerals, and that's how you get rutiled and rhyolited like stones. That's what's happened. Little fissures and cracks and faults through the stone that fill up with other minerals. So you get black rutile, which is usually iron based. The red's iron based as well. You know, gold, you can get gold flake through the crystal as well, and stones. So Vicky, you don't have to pan with this stuff. All I do is go with a couple buckets, dig a few holes. You barely have to dig 3 foot down. Most of the dirt I dig up is less than 3 foot. I don't have to dig a big hole. And most of it's on the surface. You'll see it running out of the rock, and there'll be like a wash mark coming from the bottom of the rock to wherever creek or little stream it goes to, and you'll actually see it on the surface. Now the last 3 buckets, those 3 buckets over here, they were all on the surface, so I didn't have to dig much. Probably about 10 centimetres down was all I dug for these ones, because they were literally on the surface. You see all the leaf matter and shit. I grabbed with it, and that just shows you how close to the surface this stuff is. So you don't have to do much work at all. And I grabbed these 3 buckets, was it not last week, the week before, and I'm still working on them. So it's not hard work. I just plod along. When I do get into it, I do work too hard, but yeah, most of it's just, I just come in here, sit on my ass, play my game, watch movies, whatever. I can only have to check it once an hour, make sure everything's flowing good, make sure no pipes have come off, make sure it's not leaking everywhere. And that's pretty well all I do. I'm not doing bugger all work. The most work I do is setting the thing up, and then pretty well lifting that big tub up at the end, and that's it. And most of the water's out anyway, so it's not that heavy. It's just the gold weight that's heavy. So it's actually really easy to do. This stuff, I'm plodding along. I sit on my ass most of the day watching my machines do its thing. I don't have to do anything. It's like maybe once a week I go out fossicking, and that's pretty well most of the work I do. You know, I'm pretty gifted though. I'll fucking, in one fossick trip I can find buckets and buckets. Yeah, like, that's a massive boulder opal, that one. That one actually looks like it's got a strip of jade all through it. This green marking through here looks like jade, Australian jade on gold mud opal, which is a band of gold mud through here. So this most likely is black opal, gold mud on, this might have been Australian jade boulder or something that's broken off, but some of the jade's still stuck. So the most of the jade's fallen off, but some of the jade's stuck to the bloody opal. You can actually see that there. When it's wet you can see it even more. It's ridiculous, that one, and that's massive. That's like, you can see my foot size. That's my nailer brush. Well, she's dropping a winter coat. I gave her a brush earlier. Look how fucking bad it is. She's dropping hair everywhere. This one here, where's the bloody pot of water? I'll get a little bit of water and I'll show you what that big one looks like. But it's freaking heavy. Hold up. Bind over. I'll move it into the sun. Jesus, is heavy. You can actually see the colour in this one once it's in the sun. Maybe a little bit of water, and you can actually see the green in this one. Look at that. I've never seen this colour before. Australian jade has this colour. And then you got, look, you can see the black and gold opal through it. It's ridiculous. See the band of gold? It's right down there. And both sides, black and gold opal, mud opal on both sides. So this is one of the largest, strangest boulder opals I've ever seen. And this is how big the boulder opals are here. It's fucking ridiculous. I've never seen opal this big before, ever. And this place I'm at has got 3 overlaps. So the actual comet flow hit this place 3 times. Went bang, 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 big mud flows. It slapped against the mountain. So you had reconstituted stone opalising, and then another fucking layer come along and re-opalised it again. So you got all these mixed opals everywhere, and they're ridiculous. You can see that. You can see the mud opal through it. And that's like black opal. Black opal with gold mud. And it looks like fucking Australian jade here too. So this is like a really extremely rare piece. I've never seen anything like that before. You can literally see it. And that's what mud opal looks like. Sometimes you'll see swirls and weird shit, and occasionally you'll get fossils and stuff in it. I just spotted the green, and I went, oh wow, that's nice. And then when I got it home and wetted it, and I went, holy wow. I've never seen a rock like that before. It's really, you literally see it and get up a bit more, and you literally see the band. It's opalised gold, big band of opalised gold going straight down. But that's nothing. That's a small one. That is a small one. I've got this big bastard out here. This is literally, and it's extremely heavy. This is like 10 times heavier than that big one. And this one here is You hear the weight. I'll turn it over because you can't really see it that well, but this is all gold opal. This one here is ridiculously heavy. That is freaking massive. I gave it a little wipe down this side yesterday, or the day before, whenever it was. You can literally see that is all gold opal. And it's a big blob. This would have been a mud flow from the actual comet impact. You can literally see it. That would have formed probably. I can't even lift the bastard up. It's heavy. Not with one hand anyway. So you can literally see it's literally a blob. Now it's formed. Boulder opal and mud opal always has these roundy blobby looking things. You can see how it was a flow, like mud flow, and then it's been pressurised. That looks like a nice piece in there. A lot of this stuff has like that moss rock all through it, like actually inside the rock. And this shit here, if I can get the camera to focus, yeah, you can actually see what's been opalised inside the mud. And it's definitely got black opal in it too. It's also got actual moss that's turned to rock inside of it too. So this is the largest gold, red and black mud boulder opal ever found. I found it. And it is huge. Okay, that's a 3-litre milk container. See how big the bastard is. It fucking took ages to carry the bastard from where it was. I mean, it took ages, it took about half an hour. I was buggered. I went straight home, went to bed. Brought all the stones in. I had like 6 buckets worth of stones and shit as well. So I'll just come inside, put them in the backyard and went to sleep. I was absolutely buggered. And the next day I'm still sorting out a lot of the stones. So I still haven't even touched this tray. That's that turtle one. I'm a turtle. This one here, I still got to wash some. I'm not on. Yeah. So these ones here, I still got to wash. And there's I've got heaps. There's ridiculous heaps. I've got all these ones I've got to look at and sort and work out what's what. There's black opal in this one. There's black opal. There's heaps of little cool, little funny chips in this one. Some of them have pretty nice colour through it. Under the stones. Not too sure what that one is, but it kind of looks like mud opal. You can see they're always blobby sort of shapes. Or if they're formed in between rocks, they'll be like weird crystal looking shapes because the rock edges have been pressing against them. So there's usually, blobby form and then them kind of forms where it's impressed against other rocks. And most of these are old opal as well, different various types. And you can see the colour in that one. There's a little red chip right there. Give it a look and see what's in it. Here's the sunlight there. That's got a nice little red patch there. Fucking why does the phone keep autofocusing out? It sucks. Samsung, your camera phones are shit. Especially the autofocus. Look at that. It's fucking trying to autofocus on this thing. I'm actually got to touch the screen all the time. And then it unfocused again. So fucking retarded. Your app is stupid. Samsung, this is A10 pad, and your camera on it is fucking retarded. Just like you cunts are. Fucking fix your phones, fix your fucking cameras. Look, you're doing it again. What the fuck? Let's get some nice fucking... Seriously? You see that? I should turn the autofocus off, I think. And did it again. Stop. Let's get some nice colour through that one. A couple of red chips all through it too. I've got heaps of this stuff too, which is the opalised granite. There's fucking heaps of it. Now, is it going to focus? Anyway, so still got heaps. Oh, that one's a really nice piece. That one. It's got some green through it as well. So you always tell bold opal and opal from normal rocks because they don't look. Most normal rocks will have straight lines through it. Most opals will be swirly. You'll see the swirls in them. They'll be formed from flow. So how water moves and shit like that, you'll see the actual the lines and stuff aren't necessarily straight. Unless it is bold opal and it's being pressed against a rock and it's formed that way. But most opals you'll see it's flow fault lines through it won't be straight. That's pretty well how I see them. They've got more swirls. It's not uniform, and you can see how there's like a lot of little gold filament swirls through that one. And that's how most of it look. So it doesn't look like it's formed like a normal rock has. It's water that's been compressed. The minerals in the water form the colours. So depending on what mineral is in the opal will determine the colour of the opal. So this one's got a bit of gold down the bottom, and there's also a little bit of iron in it as well. This is the reddy orange. This has got chips of granite through it as well, so it's got little pink chips all through it. And some of it is really cool. Okay, it's Boulder opal. You literally see the swirls through the rock. It's a nice little piece, that one. I've got heaps of that stuff. Most of that stuff's usually crumbly. And that's the same location. It's a crumbly one. Fucking phone, stop focusing out. Yep, Samsung phones are fucked. Don't ever buy Samsung again. I won't, because they're shit. Fucking autofocus crap on it, it's fucking retarded. Pissing me off now. Anyway, that's the basic gist of it. So, and that again, this is the gold, fine gold powder. Okie dokie, guys. If you need any help or any advice and you're having troubles doing this stuff, don't hesitate to hit me up. I'll try and explain the best I can. I'll even show you little videos and stuff and try to help you and that and get you guys working. And it's not hard work. It's pretty easy. Okay guys, I'll see you later.